Jeff Rowe from 2X Garage. Well, I'm back at Jimmy's. As you can see in the previous videos, we've made a whole lot of progress working on Jumpin' Jack Flash, our nostalgia front engine dragster. Latest videos, you saw I did a road trip, dropped off the body panels to get those letters. I'm hoping to get a call back from that guy that they're done so I can make another road trip and go pick them up. I got the transmission back from John Cope from Cope Racing Transmissions. We focused on some of the safety stuff, installing the parachute, brake lines, harness, and all that fun jazz. So where are we at now? Well, what do we got next? The short block is built. Jimmy's currently working on the cylinder heads, and I got a lot of little things to do. All those little things that hold you up that do take time. When it comes down to all the little finer details on this, you know, when it like wiring, putting fire bottle on, fuel tank, and all that type of stuff, all of that takes time. If you saw the Thunderbird, that kind of held me up before meeting my goal. It's those little things that really do take a lot of time, and you just got to plow through it and get it done. So in this video, it's going to be checking things off the to-do list, getting a lot of those little things done. Like I said, Jimmy's over there working on the cylinder heads. The short block's built. I got to get that painted and ready to go, because pretty soon we're going to be stuffing an engine in this thing and starting to do a fuel system. So with that, guys, I'm going to get to work. I'm rambling. Jimmy's in there working. But another video that's going to come up soon is all of our safety equipment that we're currently getting in. We don't have it all yet. We're going to do a video on that, on what it takes for one of these cars, certified for what it is, to actually go down the track per SFI certifications. We do have everything ordered when it comes to fire suits, helmets, gloves, boots, mask, neck restraint, parachutes, you know, driver's restraint, you name it. So we're going to cover that in a video all by itself. So when that comes in, Jimmy's going to get dressed up in the suit, and I'll explain what all that is. So with that, guys, it's time to get to work. See you in a few.
Little by little, piece by piece, I take back what's been stolen from me. Little by little, piece by piece, until I'm complete. I got my eyes on you, and you got no clue what I'm supposed to do. I can't help myself. Little by little, piece by piece, I take back what's been stolen from me. Little by little, piece by piece, until I'm complete.
All right, so what I did in that video, we're going to start backwards. I got the fuel tank put on there and the fittings that we're going to use. Those are actually different return ports somebody added at some time. Blocking those off because you'll see when we do the actual fuel system what the return line looks like. But this is going to be kept for event. As you can see, I got everything repainted with it. Everything's been polished. It's ready to go. I can put the 90 on the bottom, and I capped that front one. What I did before that was, well, it's actually a true roller now. Jimmy and I made this steering rod bracket. It's got a little PTFE bushing in there. Pretty neat. And put the steering rod in there, and that's a U-joint. And so if this thing ever needs to be adjusted or whatever, we can just, you know, redo it and change our ride height. We'll know more about that as soon as we start driving this car. We think we got it where we want it. Then, you know, where it goes into the old SPE funny car box, we put a roll pin in there so it doesn't come out. So yeah, that's where we're at now. Jimmy's, like I said, he's working on the cylinder heads, and I'm working on all those little things, like that song that you were just listening to, Little by Little. Well, that's what we're doing, little by little. Yeah, I'm trying to get in here, and yeah. So yeah, it turns. She's a roller. Kind of happy about that. Dig it. Looks pretty neat. So what's going to happen there, guys, if you see on that plate, that in there, you're going to have a fire bottle pull. You're going to have a mag kill switch, and you're going to have your starter button. This thing doesn't have an onboard battery, so we're going to go over that in a different video on how you actually start it. But then on the one side of that bracket, either or, it's going to have a lever you pull for fuel shutoff. From there, On the actual bat wing, there's going to be 2 buttons. I got them. Jimmy's going to manufacture a little plate. One will be for trans brake, and the other one will be for shift, because right there is where my shifter goes, and it's got a solenoid on it, so you just hit the button, and boom, it puts it from low gear to high gear. So yeah, that's where we're at. I'm going to get working on some other stuff. See you soon.
No, you wouldn't take what's not yours. If you know who I am, when the night will fall, I'll haunt your dreams. Little by little, piece by piece, I take back what's been stolen from me. Little by little, piece by piece, until I'm complete.
All right, so Jimmy's got the cylinder heads done. I'll show you those as the paint dries. I'm not going to do a paint drying video for you guys. I got to throw some clear coat on that, some high temp clear. It makes it really look nice. But Jimmy went ahead and got the cylinder heads done. As you saw in a previous video, my friend Brian from B&R Racing, he checked all the springs. They're good to go. These are titanium retainer on this. It's got the good head studs, and it's got competition products push rod plates on it, and these are actually a Proline head. They're made in Australia. I went over them before, but they're ready to go. So what Jimmy did was he took everything apart, he hot tanked them, cleaned up the bowls, cleaned everything up. These have been ported in St. Louis by a guy called Ron's Porting Service. Pretty hogged out small block Chevy. He went through and did a valve job on everything, touched up the seats, touched up the valves. All the valves are straight. All the valves are true. Nothing wrong with those. Very small combustion chamber. With the pistons that we put in this, it's going to make approximately 14.2 to 1 compression. So that's a healthy compression ratio there. I do have the headers at home. Of course, they're the Zoomy stacks that stick up. Those are painted and drying as we speak. Yeah, cast iron head. Good head. Really dig them. Jimmy did good work on them as usual. But as you can see here, they are hogged out, pretty well. Not too bad. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is talk to Jimmy for a little bit on some of our next steps we got coming up, because we're talking about putting an engine in. And if you guys are wondering why we didn't bolt these on when we painted the engine, well, we're going to put the engine, mid plate, and transmission together in one piece, get that in the car and all set in place, and then we will put these on at a later point, because we're going to go through and check some things before we do that. But we do want to get the engine and transmission and mid plate in and start getting that all set up. So that'll be a video here pretty soon. But yeah, awesome heads. These things are going to work great on that 409. Can't wait. So I'm going to go talk to Jimmy for a few and watch some paint dry. See you in a little bit.
Piece by piece, until I'm complete. Piece by piece, I take back. Little by little, piece by piece, I take back. Little by little, piece by piece, I take back. Little by little, piece by piece.
All right, well, we're going to call that a wrap. I know it was kind of a boring video like watching paint dry, because I did do some painting. But you know what, guys? I wanted to do a video on everything that we're possibly doing. It's showing you what actually goes into building one of these things. Like I said, it's a lot of the small things. It's just not taking a chassis, chucking a rear end, chucking an engine, and chucking a transmission in and going. There are so many little things, just like any other build that goes into this. So yeah, might have been a little bit of a boring video, but there's a lot of work behind the scenes that we did to get there. One being the steering. Jimmy did a really good job on making the bracket and all that work. So that's installed. It's set. It's good to go. We got our tow end set. Everything perfect in the front. I did get the fuel tank mounted. I got all the fittings on there needed and got those in place. If you saw in previous videos, the engine block was painted before, but Jimmy and I, when we started putting things together, realized that we needed to take some stuff apart and massage some of the engine. So we did that, which involved a die grinder, and we put it back in the hot tank, pulled it out, and reassembled things.
I'm old. When I built the machine work, or did the machine work on that 10, 12 years ago, I didn't remember until I went to put it together that I didn't clear it for the aluminum rods. And that was a bad on me. Taken care of.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a bad on his. It's been years since he did that. And his other engine, which is sitting over here, is already clearanced. We're using a Manley Super 70. So when we started putting that together, that's what we noticed. So everything came apart. Everything got re-massaged, I'm going to call it. Re-hot tanked, assembled, and I taped everything off and painted it. So yeah, that was this video. Like I said, it's the little things. We're taking you along for the whole entire journey. Jimmy and I are talking behind the scenes off camera about our next steps. I think pretty soon you might see a engine and transmission shoved in here, but we got to get some cylinder head stuff done, and they're already built, but just some other things, leak check, all that type of fun jazz. So with that, guys, I'm really tired. I picked the worst day to paint outside because it's windy. Windy but warm, so that was kind of in my favor. So with that, until the next one, Jumpin' Jack Flash, it's a gas, gas, gas. Later.